I'm very pleased to be interviewing Donna Speciale, who is President, Turner Broadcasting Sales. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start with your background. How did you get to where you are today?
I started, I interned while I was in college at an ad agency in Providence, Rhode Island, where my father was working, and got into the business that way through planning and buying. And from there, I was dealing with a lot of New York agencies and decided to move to New York. Started my career in New York at MediaCom. At the time was Gray Advertising, which does no longer exist, and worked my way up. And was agency side for 27 years, and then decided 3 years ago to come join Turner Broadcasting as president of sales.
How has the agency world, how is it different from the network world?
The agency business has changed a lot. Past 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. It's really taken on a life of its own. I think digital has definitely changed our landscape with a lot more of choices that marketers have, obviously, to advertise their messaging. So agencies have had to learn a lot more about the consumer that the marketer's trying to reach a little bit more in depth, not really about what Nielsen in the day of adults 18 to 49, 25, 54, those days unfortunately are over, and now needing to really focus a lot more on audiences, which is now transitioning into what now the media companies are now needing to lean towards. And I think the digital aspect of this has now brought that to the forefront.
So you've been on the network side for 3 years. Have you seen changes in these 3 years, and if so, what?
Yeah, 3 years is a lifetime right now in our business. There's just been a lot of new companies. Facebook wasn't Facebook 3 years ago. Google now has a huge footprint in our industry. Twitter now has taken on a life of its own. Now Pinterest, I'm sure, is going to come out. Instagram is now here. Snapchat is now doing advertising. We just did a huge launch getting on the Discovery with Snapchat. So all of these new media companies are now giving choices for marketers, which are now making it a lot harder for marketers to find out who that consumer is and honing in on it, but also for media companies to try to go after those dollars. The marketers' dollars are not expanding. They're staying in the same bucket, but yet they have to be in a lot more places. So from media companies like a Turner Broadcasting or even NBCU or Viacom, we're trying to go after. The good news is we are now changing. We are not just a television company. We are a content company on multiple screens. And that has changed drastically. Turner Broadcasting wasn't as deep as we are today 3 years ago as we were when I first got here. Bleacher Report now, Bleacher is enormous in the sports landscape. CNN now has taken on a life of its own with CNN.com. We acquired CNN Money last June from Time Inc. Now we're having politics in 2016. That's now going to take on a huge breadth. We have apps now we're creating with Adult Swim, Cartoon Network. These are all areas that Turner Broadcasting 3 years ago were just touching. We were in the infancy stage. And now we're definitely in it pretty big, and so much more to go.
And all of these companies that you mentioned are throwing off their own data.
Yeah.
So I know that Turner's in the vanguard of harnessing data. Can you talk a little bit about these efforts?
Yeah. I think, again, digital has changed the way we all need to think. And yes, we know that Facebook and Google and Twitter definitely have a lot of data at their fingertips. But so do a lot of the media companies. But research tends to be now the new black, is what we say. They now have a huge seat at the table. And but I think it's very exciting because Turner has 7 networks, and each one of our networks is very distinct by audience, and we do that for a reason. We have audiences from Cartoon Network, from kids, all the way to CNN with that mature viewer. Our digital landscapes also have different audiences. So if you look at a company like Turner, we now service, and marketers can now reach mostly anybody that they want to reach on any platform of any network. We have to harness that. We never had to sell it that way before. We only sold it on what Nielsen kind of put us in that bucket on adults 18 to 49 or 25-54, whether you were male or female. That's not good enough anymore. We now have to reach that auto buyer, that auto intender, that person going to a site to go look for more information. So the more information that we can bring to our marketers on who our audience is, the more that they will be able to, they'll be more willing to spend more dollars on us, knowing that there's going to be an intent to purchase, which we've never had to look at that before. And that's why data right now is so important for this company.